Yeah. You guys still there?
Yep. Just about to do the drop. Hold on 1 second.
He just went quiet. I wasn't sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kyle.
Knockouts and 3 counts.
Yes, sir. This is Knockouts and 3 Counts. And let's do a quick introduction so we can get to our very special guest. Why don't you go ahead and throw your social media and all that good stuff out there, sir?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Detroit Knockout, at Detroit Knockout. Make sure you're following the show page, Knockouts and 3 Counts Podcast on Facebook, at KO3C Pod on Twitter and Instagram.
And I am Devin McKenzie. You can find me on Twitter at Devin63. That's DEVINTHE63. You can find me on Instagram at All Steak No Sizzle. That is not one word. What is it, Randy? It's all one character, one phrase.
It's all one word, just smushed together.
Okay.
I was just giving you a hard time last week.
I want to be grammatically correct. Make sure you check out the Reality Era News page on Facebook where we talk wrestling. If you're looking for a card, check out Matthew Hargrave Chevrolet. What?
Oh, shit. We switched it up.
Oh, we switched it up. Yes, we did switch it up. Yeah, make sure you go check out Matthew Hargrave Chevrolet. That's mhchevy.com. Check out the inventory and hit up my man Anthony, and he will hook you up. Yes. Long story. I'll explain it later. But we got a very special guest. Kyle, why don't you introduce our guest who's coming back for the second time?
So, with us tonight, man, we have the return of, let's see, one of the hottest heels out in Mexico right now.
Yes,
He's
sir.
going by, if you've been paying attention to his Twitter and Instagram and all the stuff we've been posting, El Rudo de las Chicas. I can't say it real well. But Sam Adonis, how you doing, brother, man?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be back with you guys, and I'm looking forward to come back and out your way in Detroit here in a few weeks.
No shit. For who?
Ooh La La Lucha. It's going to be May.
Oh, yeah,
4th,
that's
I
right.
believe,
Yep,
this
that's
year.
right. Yep, cool.
It'll be the third time coming back to Detroit, and excited to come and I guess represent Mexico in the weirdest way. So
That's
it's kind of
awesome.
funny being an authentic wrestler, growing up in Pittsburgh.
Man, so definitely I got to make it to that show, man, because I missed you last time.
I told Devin all about it last time and how you had people throwing shit from the balcony. I said, dude, you missed out.
It's funny because everybody asks me, like, how crazy Mexico's been. And, did you ever feel like your life's in danger? What's going to happen? And there's a few good stories, but I always, have an honorable mention for Detroit. And I tell everybody that, believe it or not, some of the most hostile fans I've ever come across, especially doing the Donald Trump-style character, has been in Detroit, Michigan.
So I was at Ooh La La Lucha this past year. It sounds like there's more than one of those stories. If you feel like going into it, feel free to.
Yeah, well, Detroit's been pretty wild. That's always fun because I think there's usually have a tequila sponsor, so everybody gets a decent amount of tuned in for those events.
Ooh.
So they're pretty hostile. I've had people throwing the beers and pushing the guardrail a little closer to the ring. But Mexico was cool because, I've been on lockdown in Arena, Mexico when there was a shooting outside, and
Wow.
I got followed to my car outside another arena once, and the promoter had to come out and talk down one of the gangsters, one of the neighborhood gangsters. And they basically had to say, hey, this is Lucha, this is what we do here, and please don't kill this guy.
Wow.
So you've definitely had some close calls for sure. And if it was anything like what I saw this past year, I totally can believe it.
Well, I think it's one of those things. Sometimes, you get caught up in your own hype, especially living down there in Mexico City. We are rock stars, we really do live a rock star life. You're in the VIP clubs, and it's really sometimes kind of hard to distinguish the difference between Sam Adonis, the character, and the person. So down there, I kind of lived, vicariously through myself, and sometimes put myself in positions that, looking back on, might not have been the best ideas. I've been in some nightclubs with some pretty powerful people in the city of Mexico. Whereas, if I'm sitting next to the wrong guy on the wrong night, I could end up getting, catching a stray bullet or something like that. So it's not till hindsight, you see things clearly, but it's been awesome being down there and, learning the culture, the language, the people, and everything about it.
So that brings me to a great question. So as anybody that's been following our Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, we've been trying to hype all the stuff that you've already booked for this year. Now, are you still staying in Mexico, or are you back in Pittsburgh, or?
I'm actually based in Pittsburgh now, but I barely ever wrestle in Pittsburgh. I barely wrestle in the Northeast for that matter. It seems like everything I'm doing is, either out of the country or, most of it's actually West Coast. So there's a strong Latino population. I just did Wilmington, California last Friday. Saturday I was in Tijuana for the Crash. Sunday I was in East LA. I think what it is it's the market that I appeal to.
Okay.
Like I said, the Mexican fans, they really appreciate lucha, and they almost look at us as TV stars or as sports stars. So it seems to be like those markets are the ones that are a little bit more excited to book Sam Adonis. I've actually kind of flown under the radar as far as a hot independent talent would go, if you will. But by no means am I starving for the work. I've been lucky because I've been able to perform in front of huge crowds all over the world for the past 2 years or 3 years for that matter. And, I like to think I'm virtually unknown in the United States. And I kind of like it that way.
Well, that's what I was going to go into next. So I just saw you wrestled on the big PCW Ultra show they had. Was that a few weeks ago? The AK-19 or whatever, their big show they
that
just
was just
had.
last week.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That was just last week. It's Friday night.
Yeah, so I mean, you're making, and I seen that you've got the big match lined up with Pentagon and Phoenix with you and DJ Z. Like, tell me a little bit about what it's been like now that you are starting to get yourself out there a little bit more in the U.S. now from just being primarily in Mexico for so long.
Well, I think American fans are kind of lucky because they have so much at their fingertips every day on the social media and whatever wrestling they want to watch, they can watch. And that's great because there's so much talent out there that they're capable of seeing. However, sometimes it's restrictive because, I worked for CMLL for 2 years, and I don't think they get the American attention that they truly deserve, for being some of the best wrestlers on the planet. So sometimes, through no fault of anybody's, it's just not in the public eye. Because I've spent so much time with these Mexican luchadors, again, like I said, I kind of, I gravitated towards being a Mexican wrestler. And now, I'm getting booked on these shows with these guys. And because lucha seems to be the hot topic of 2018, 2019, it seems like now I'm finally starting to spread into these, American markets because it just seems like, after a certain amount of time, people are starting to realize that there's a pretty damn decent American wrestler that's been tearing it up south of the border with some of their favorite independent stars.
So before you were talking about hanging out in nightclubs in Mexico with some pretty powerful people. For a lot of people out there that might be familiar with Japan, they have what they call sponsors there. Basically, these are like businessmen or people with money that just want to spend time with wrestlers. They basically, buy stuff for the wrestlers and give them money. They hang out with, and they just want to be seen with these wrestlers in nightclubs and stuff like that. Is it very similar like that in Mexico, or is it like a completely different thing?
It's absolutely the same. It's one of those things that elevates their image. They might be the friends with the local promoter, or somebody hooks you up with somebody that just say, hey, come out afterwards. I'll take care of you. And it makes their club, a little bit more valuable when they know that the TV wrestling stars are there partying at the night. So it's very similar to the Japanese sponsor situations. However, the ambiance is slightly different. I just got back from All Japan again this past November, and the sponsor dinners in Japan are slightly relaxed, and you don't really get too crazy. At least since I've been going.
Right.
But the Mexican ones, it's a different breed. They encourage debauchery and fun and excitement.
Man, so in your time down there in Mexico, have you seen any walls lately?
Oh, shit.
Nothing. What I will tell you, though, and this is something that I'm sure everybody will dispute, but from my own experiences, the people of Mexico City have a very different opinion of Donald Trump of what you would think. Most of them have a certain amount of respect for him, almost as like a badass, fearless leader. Mexican politics have been, corrupted for years, and they're so tired of the politics system and, another person winning an election to play the game. They actually like the fact that, even though the message is, kind of anti-Mexican, for some of the things that they hear about him, they still kind of dig that, okay, he might not like us, but the fact that he's willing to stand against us, you have to respect. So that was kind of fascinating for me because, you definitely wouldn't think that. It's a little bit different up around the border. The people that live closer to the border,
Right.
It basically is, most northern Mexican cities are exactly like, southwestern USA cities. So, that same culture, they kind of blend together. But as far as, my experiences in Mexico City, I was definitely surprised how, some people think completely different of our president is what you think they would.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my question. Like, is there a difference between, each city in Mexico? So is it almost like certain cities that you being down there works better than other cities?
Not really. I think wrestling, and it's one of those things I can explain to anybody until I'm blue in the face. You can't really fathom what wrestling is in Mexico until you're there to see it.
Okay.
It's literally part of your everyday life. It's there. It's in the newspapers. It's something that I've never seen anywhere in the United States. You can't really relate it to the fact that they don't even really consider it a show. They know there's a lot of aspects to it that are performance based, but it's so highly respected as a sport that the people come and they get absolutely crazy and rowdy. But at the end of the day, you could be the biggest villain in the country. And I would go as far to say that at one point, I was, and I have been, and I may still be the absolute, biggest heel in the country. But their admiration for professional wrestling always outweighs their emotion towards a bad guy.
That's cool to see, man, that there's such the respect for that. And my question that comes off that, so we mentioned at the top of the show that you're getting ready to work with Pentagon and Phoenix. We all know that Pentagon and Phoenix have really made their name in the last year or so here in the States, but we all know that they got a big name over there in Mexico. What's it like for you, having been in Mexico so long, to be, having all these dates, working with these guys, and have you worked with either of them over there in Mexico? And if so, what was that like?
They have been two of the guys that have eluded me as far as actually working against or teaming with, but I have been on, countless shows with these guys. And the fact that I speak Spanish, I'm able to create a rapport with these guys that I think that kind of gives, a little bit of a special anticipation about this match. I'm looking forward to it. They're looking forward to it. And the people that have been waiting for it are looking forward to it, because it is something that, hasn't happened. And, these guys are lucky because most of their dates are in the United States, and they're staying so busy, worldwide, that, we haven't really had the opportunity to get in there and mix it up. But, I'm on with both of those guys February 28th in Pittsburgh, and then I'm wrestling Pentagon in a singles match WrestleMania weekend. And the fan outpour has been ridiculous.
Which show is that going to be for? The one Mania weekend?
That's Blackcraft Wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah, but these guys, it almost seems like, it's a bigger deal in Mexico than it is in the United States. And that's just because of the purists that do follow everything. They're actually super excited to see, almost, I hate to use the term dream match because I don't think I'm a wrestler worth being considered to have a dream match, but that's kind of, what some of the fans kind of refer to it as, because they are two of the hottest baby faces in the world. And, at least down there, I've established myself as one of the hottest heels, and, it's definitely going to be a awesome situation to be in.
I definitely might have to make my way to that show Mania weekend because I'll be down there. I love how you knew that.
It's actually a midnight show. It's a midnight show, so it's not going to interfere with too many of the other ones. But as excited as I am to mix it up with Penta one-on-one, I don't know if I'm too excited about getting in the ring at about 2 a.m.
So how about, that's a good question. How much does that affect you guys with your match times? Because I can't relate to it, obviously, when it comes to pro wrestling and stuff, but I know in MMA fights and boxing fights, I can't tell you how many times I've been at a fight and we'll be waiting in the back to go out to the cage or whatever, and you're not getting to fight. If your guy's in the co-main event or main event, you're not getting out there till 1:30. And to keep yourself warm all that time, what's that like for you guys wrestling?
Usually it comes down to circumstances. I'm sure Pentagon and Phoenix are probably the two busiest guys WrestleMania weekend. With all said and done, they're probably going to have, upwards of 20 matches.
Right.
So I'm sure it could be, especially draining for them. I will be tired, of course, because I'm usually in bed by about 11 o'clock. But sometimes your adrenaline does carry you through it. And usually, as a performer, it's the energy in the building. And a lot of times, with a guy like Pentagon, especially, who is just oozing charisma, and, someone like myself, who, I pride myself on my ability to create an energy. I think, whether we're both exhausted or not at 1 o'clock in the morning, by the time we get in the ring, when the people are feeling it, I'm sure, we'll be on cloud nine.
So as you start to make your ascent and, try to spread out more through the states, like what are some of the big goals for you, man? Are you trying to, are you trying to stay more stateside? Are you going to still mix between Mexico and here in Japan? Or what are the goals for you for 2019, man?
I don't really have any goals. I've been lucky enough to be a professional wrestler 7 years, full time, without having another job. So I'm happy that I'm able to continue doing that. Japan is something that's, I've been blessed with recently. It's taken me forever to get there, but now I have a pretty decent following over there and establishing my name with All Japan Pro Wrestling. And it kind of seems like something about the aura of Japan kind of carries over to the United States. So I don't really say I have a goal. I'm definitely proud of where I'm at, and I'm happy with the direction things are going. There's nothing in particular that I want to do other than maybe, stay more consistent in Japan. But I'm not too familiar with the United States indie scene. I don't really know what's hot or where it's going to go. And what you'll find is a lot of wrestlers have to, search for opportunities, or they'll have to, maybe take a pay cut for their opportunity. That's something I don't really, want to do. I'm really happy with the level I'm at. So I'd like to, keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully it takes me to some different cities, different markets, and just in the end, hopefully, there's some wrestling fans that will eventually be able to enjoy Sam Adonis, the character, and, see me if they've never been able to enjoy it before.
You said something very interesting there. Like you said, you're not very familiar with the American independent wrestling scene. Right now, I honestly feel like this is probably one of the best times in professional wrestling with New Japan making their way over here, and Ring of Honor. There's spots there. Impact is working their way back up, and now with the announcement of All Elite Wrestling coming out, is that a goal for you to reach some of those companies, or do you still feel like some of the, I don't want to say lower, but some of the lesser named companies like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla or I can't think of the one in Cleveland, but some of these other
AEW?
Yeah, AEW, yeah.
AAW.
No, AAW. But some of these independent, are those the ones that you want to target, or do you see yourself trying to work your way towards like a All Elite, Ring of Honor, or something like that here in America?
I'm a professional. I go, wherever wants to hire me. Like I said, there's nothing.
Can't hate on that at all.
As far as goals go, I really don't mind. I had a WWE contract in 2011, and since then, I feel like I was lucky enough to have a taste of the mountaintop early on, and all I've ever wanted to do is make a living doing what I love, and I'm able to do that, now without any of that, and I basically get to call my own shots. So, there's great companies, there's great talents all out there. I'm not going to say there's nothing that I would turn down, but, I'm definitely proud of where I'm at and what I'm doing. And I think I have enough to offer that, maybe one day I will end up in one of those places. But it's not something I necessarily need to actively pursue.
Now, here's another question. So you mentioned that you've worked in Mexico. You mentioned that you want to work more consistently in Japan. When you switch from whether it's say, you got your show February 28th in Pittsburgh, and then who knows, maybe you go back for a tour in Mexico and then straight to Japan. Does that change at all, the way, you work your matches, or does that change like how you go about, what you want to get accomplished in a match, depending on, the culture that you're in?
Yes, 100% it does change. You just have to adapt your style to what the local market likes. So clearly in Mexico, you're going to speed it up a little bit. In Japan, you might want to, be a little bit more stiff, if you will, or lay your stuff in a little bit more. But these are the minor details. One thing I've been able to learn, all over the world is it seems all wrestling fans are more attracted to a personality than they are the actual moves and the wrestling. In my opinion, that's why a Pentagon is able to get over so well. Some of these bigger independent names in the USA, might not do the coolest of the high spots, but being consistent as a character and conveying an image, that's almost international. So other than the minor tweaks, just knowing your audience, it basically comes down to just, staying true to who you are.
So shout out to Movado. I see you in there watching with us, watching live. Your opponent from last year's Ooh La La Lucha. Are we going to see a round 3 with you guys this year?
Oh, I plan on taking his damn mask off.
Everybody wants to take his mask. Why is
That's
that?
kind of what I do. I'm the only guy in history to take off Ultimo Dragon's mask in Japan and in Mexico. So, and in the United States for that matter. So I might as well, aim high and take a Detroit Legends mask off as well.
Man, you need to tighten that thing down, Movado. Everybody's coming for that
So-
mask.
I actually wrestled Movado, I believe it was May of last year. I wrestled Movado in Mexico City. So he's been doing great for himself. He made his way down there. I think he's actually going to be back there in a few weeks. I don't know if we'll be on the same shows again, but he's making waves, and we always have great chemistry, great matches. The people aren't ever disappointed. And again, it comes down to that chemistry we talk about. When you create an energy in the room, it makes for the moment. It makes for the match. And it seems like anytime, I've been in Detroit, I've been lucky enough to be in there with Movado, who, controls the crowd better than a lot of the guys. So I'm convinced the 4th of May will definitely be another epic night at St. Andrews Hall.
Yes, sir. Definitely looking forward to it. And like I said, I'm going to do my best to be there for it this time, man. We've talked to you before about your brother, Corey Graves. Some people might not know that is your brother. Once again, what was it like? Oh, okay. I thought you had a problem. Once again, for people that don't know, tell the people about you and Corey Graves growing up in the Pittsburgh wrestling scene, and what was it like roughhousing with him growing up?
Well, a lot of people don't know, but my dad was one of the promoters independently in Pittsburgh, so I basically grew up around wrestling. And as far back as I can remember, probably starting around the age of 10 or 11, I would travel to all the shows with my brother. And I was little Sam. I was basically a little fat kid that watched way too much wrestling and knew way too much about it. So
like me.
I would travel with him, and it was one of those things where I was just obsessed with it. I was more into it at 10 years old than most of the wrestlers were. So, going to these shows and meeting the boys and being around it, that's definitely added to my success, if you will. Because, at 12 years old, I remember sitting in a hospital room, arguing with a guy named Shirley Doe about Japanese wrestling from the 90s. It's one of those things that it's kind of just added to the story, and it's made me who I am. So luckily, my brother has had, a really good name through his wrestling career. And, the connections I've made because of him has been great. But, of course, we wrestled around the house. We would watch tapes together and watch wrestling together. He actually trained me, but, it got to the point where I would go stay at his house and I'd be the one bringing obscure Japanese wrestling tapes saying, hey, hey, we got to watch this, check this out. So
Like
here's been a huge.
Yeah, watching Japanese death matches with like Terry Funk and Mick Foley.
Yeah, and Great Muda or Great Sasuke, all that good stuff from the 90s. So, he's definitely been a major influence on my career. But at the same time, I think he'd be willing to tell you that, the fact that we grew up in such a wrestling family, being around it together, has definitely added to his success as well.
man. Well, as we start winding down here, I know we got to let you go in a few minutes. Real quick, let the people know what it is that you have coming up here in the area. I know you talked about Ooh La La Lucha. You talked about your show in Pittsburgh. Anything else in the United States that people can come see, or anything on television of yours that people can see?
I'm trying to think here. I will be in San Francisco this Friday for All Pro Wrestling. The 22nd, I will be in Tampa, Florida, or maybe it's Orlando, Florida, for IPW Hardcore. And we have I have 5 shows in Las Vegas coming up in March. I'm actually wrestling La Parka one-on-one, the original La Parka, LA Park, in Chicago.
Damn, I had that in my notes and didn't touch that.
Yeah, on March 15th. And I've actually wrestled La Parka probably 15 times in Mexico. So that's another one. He's a bastard because he hits so damn hard. So you have no choice but to get the moment for that one.
Hey, wait, when is that show in Chicago?
March 15th.
Okay.
I sense a road trip, Devin.
I'm
the look on his face.
I'm thinking. Depending on what my schedule
There's
looks
actually there's a really good company I've been working for in Chicago, and it's called Warriors Wrestling, and they've been drawing 2,000 or 3,000 people every event, these all-star lineups, and Chicago is such a strong wrestling market that's kind of helped boost me into the American light a little bit more. They're very in tune with their market and their fan base. So, they offer something to everybody. And, due to the large Hispanic population in Mexico or in Chicago, they're always bringing in the Mexican stars. So, because of my affiliation to that, it's kind of really helped my cause branching into the Chicago market. And because those fans are so loyal and vocal, that's kind of spread me into other independent wrestling markets throughout the country due to their social media presence.
All right. Well, Sam, why don't you give a last word to our fans and make sure you throw your social media out there too, where people can find you. If you have any last words, go ahead and let the people know.
I just appreciate anybody that appreciates what I do. I pride myself on being an actual heel. I like being a guy that pisses you off. In 2019, nobody can convince you that it's real, but I can convince you that I can make you forget that it's a show, if you will. So I like knowing that I can piss even the most jaded fans off. But at the end of the day, it's entertainment, and I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm proud to have people, that do support me. Anybody that wants to find me, I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Real Sam Adonis. And I hope 2019 is as good as 2018 was, and hopefully I can meet as many of you as I can.
Well, brother, man, we appreciate you coming on again, and I definitely will have to hit you up when I get down to New York, and maybe we'll have to have another beer downtown in New York, man.
Awesome, brother. Sounds good. I appreciate it, and I'll speak to you guys soon.
For sure, man. Thanks for the time.
Thanks a lot, man.
All right, thanks a lot. Bye.
Yep. All righty, that was Sam Adonis.
I don't know, man. For any of you that haven't gotten to check him out or gotten to see him live, you really need to, because after what I saw at Ooh La La Lucha, that guy had them motherfuckers ready to riot. He really, I'm not saying that as an exaggeration. Like, these people were like legitimately pissed off. Like he talked about, making you, forget about what's going on around you, because these people were chucking beer from the balcony.
Wait, were they full beers?
Yeah, they were full beer.
Oh, man. Now somebody's mad when they throw a full beer at you, man.
And then when he tried to rip off Movato's mask, they were definitely pissed.
It's funny. I was thinking about that the other day. If Movato walked up to me without his mask on, I'm not sure if I would know it was him.
I did, but that's only because I know Bubba and them. But
okay,
yeah.
Like, he could probably just walk up to me, man, and like call me out of my name. I'm like, I don't know whose ass I'm about to kick right now. Wait, that voice sounds kind of familiar though. It sounds like Movato.
All you gotta hear is the ooh wah wah.
Ooh, wah 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 wah. Man, shout out to Movato and shout out to Sam Adonis, man. But so we had about 30 minutes, man. We just came off of Royal Rumble weekend. How about we talk a little bit of Royal Rumble, man?
I'm with it.
All righty. So what did you think? As a whole for the weekend,
I love So do you want me to hit highlights or just my thoughts as a whole on the weekend?
Just
first?
we'll start off with just the weekend as a whole. We'll start there, and then we'll work our way down.
As a whole, I don't think it was that bad when you think about it. I mean, TakeOver was really good. Now, Royal Rumble, where there's some things I would have liked to have seen go different, yeah, sure. But I think that they did cash in on the things that they did go for well. Like the Becky Lynch thing, I like it, especially the way that she went in there.
Okay.
Do I think that Nia Jax was what everybody was thinking was going to happen? No, but at the same time, I don't think it was a bad thing, especially because she took an ass kicking.
Who did she eliminate? I can't remember. Was it Mustafa Ali?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
She eliminated Mustafa Ali and then caught an RKO from Randy Orton.
She caught a super kick, 619, and an RKO.
And that's my point. So, like, people can shit on her being in the Royal Rumble as much as they want, dude, but, like, she interacted with everybody that was in the ring and got her ass kicked.
She is the first person to be in 2 Royal Rumbles in one night. That's crazy.
Didn't think about that. That is true.
But let's start with that since you already brought it up. Honestly, man, that moment showed something that I've been thinking for a while. The WWE needs to find more bigger talent in the women's division. I think that's been the problem with Nia. The people she wrestled are too small, so it looks she almost
and it makes her look worse.
Right, but I think she shoulder tackled Randy Orton, and like it looked great. It looked nice and crisp, and I'm like, she needs people her size. So I know not Congo Kong, Awesome Kong. I don't know if she's wrestling anymore, but someone like an Awesome Kong. Tamina I felt like would have been a great match for her, but now they have them tagging up. You know, go get some. I can't remember her name. Samoan lady, really really tall. She fought MMA before.
Lady Tapa.
Lady Tapa, yeah. Go grab some of the bigger. Faye Jackson, someone that we definitely got to have on the show. Shout out to Kyle Campbell. Faye Jackson would be a great person for her to go up against. Allison Kay, she's a nice sized woman. She could probably go up against. Okay, I didn't mean it like that. I did not mean it like that.
Way to fucking shit on somebody
I wasn't shitting on her. That was all right.
That didn't sound good, dog.
But Jessica Havoc. I mean, ladies.
I get
with
your
some
point.
Size too.
I just had to bust your balls, and I'm sure Allison knows what you mean too.
Yes, she's quite beautiful, by the way. Hi.
Very much so.
Yes. But yeah, I think she needs some talent that could actually, bump with her. and like to me,
I won't argue
that time. That little time in the Royal Rumble showed exactly that. I thought the weekend was very good, even though my weekend was pretty crazy. I had to watch it in like spurts and stuff like that because I was moving the whole weekend. But to me, the highlight of the whole weekend was DIY. Ciampa and Gargano did a great job on TakeOver, and then Johnny Gargano had a great showing in the Royal Rumble as well. To me, they were the highlight of the weekend for me.
Can't even argue that, dude. That was cool, and you missed one of the biggest parts about that. Not only was DIY the biggest part of the weekend, I really enjoyed how WWE kind of like kept that shit going after they went off the air.
Oh yeah, setting up
halftime. The halftime heat, which to me, dude, I just talked about this with Mikey at the party. Shout out to Mikey, and shout out to everybody that came to our party this weekend at Bobcat Bonnie's. Thank you to them again for having us. And shout out to Andre for winning you some NXT tickets.
And shout out to Breaking Down the Ring.
Exactly.
Yes,
but we were talking about this.
Although I wasn't there. I was moving.
Yeah. So we were talking about this during the show, man. So, like, the Gargano Ciampa thing was dope, but how much does this show, for all that we had heard that Vince didn't really think as much of NXT and things like that, how much does this say about NXT that they're going to put them on the halftime special?
Oh, that's definitely says a lot.
That shows that even though everyone's got this idea that Vince doesn't listen to anything, clearly he sees how much people like NXT, or he wouldn't be putting them on the halftime heat, and that's just a fact.
Or maybe in my Paul Heyman voice, maybe they're the only people they could get to work on a Sunday.
Well, clearly that's not true.
Oh, on a Sunday that wasn't a pay-per-view Sunday. Now, the thing I want to know is, Is this going to be live or is this going to be a pre-tape?
It's going to be, well, yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
And is it going to be an empty arena? Is it going to be?
I think the empty arena would be fucking sweet. Dude, I don't care what nobody says. Halftime heat between Mick Foley and The Rock was the shit.
I agree. I definitely
I don't
agree.
care what nobody said. Even though I was too young to understand that they had pre-taped it, the idea of thinking at the time that they're in an empty arena just beating the shit out of each other, going through the kitchen and everything else, to me was awesome.
So, man, now I might have to look this up to see if NXT is on tour that Sunday. Maybe they'll do a live feed from one of the NXT shows or something like that. Oh, by the way, we'll be at NXT
March 3rd.
at Royal Oak Music Theater. Come check us out.
Hell yeah.
If you see us, come say hi. We'll be somewhere down on the floor, I think.
Yep.
Okay, yep. But one thing that I was a little disappointed in was that we didn't get to see the Velveteen Dream. I was hoping that he would be in the Rumble. He was in the crowd and he did the I think after the show, setting up the halftime Heat show. But man, this is like the first takeover in a while where we didn't get the Velveteen Dream, man. And like for me, I kind of felt a little bit cheated, even though it's probably like because that's my favorite guy in NXT right now.
I think what they did with Velveteen still made him look good, though, because they made him look like a big star. The fact that you have him sitting there in the front row, and then for that,
two beautiful ladies.
Yep, and for that to happen the way that it happened at the end of the show, dude. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm always down to see a Velveteen Dream match, but I'm just saying, like, that's a pretty good way to keep him looking good. Because think about it, you've essentially just hardwired him into, even though he says he wants Johnny Gargano in the North American title. You've basically hardwired him into the same storyline that's going to have Ciampa in it too, which means he could transition to the world title. So to me,
wait, I just thought about something. So this weekend is the beginning of the Worlds Collide tournament.
Yep.
Is that gonna be? You know if that's gonna be live or pre-tape?
No idea.
Okay, they'll probably do.
Well, and Velveteen's in that tournament too.
Right.
So.
I don't know. I was thinking maybe they would do the halftime Heat during that or something like that. I don't know, but.
Okay, so since you weren't there in the bar with us to be able to, well, it wasn't a bar, but since you weren't there at the party to hear your thoughts, no. There was a bar, but it wasn't like just a bar.
Did they have alcohol?
Yeah.
So therefore, it's a bar.
It was a restaurant, but
it's a restaurant bar. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Amber Driver, how you doing?
Amber, what's up? How you doing?
And so my question is,
I was going to say something very, very inappropriate, but I'm leaving it
jeez.
alone.
Here we go. Here comes the disclaimers again. But
and that's why we got to fill this out. Go ahead.
For those of you that don't know, they literally handed us a contract when we walked in here and said, this is the new terms of agreement.
They're afraid of losing us to AEW. I'm sorry. Now go ahead.
So my question is, what were your thoughts on what happened with Finn, and what were your thoughts on the whole Braun thing?
Not surprised at all. Not surprised.
And do you think this kills Braun?
I'm starting to think that the ship might have sailed on Braun. I think they waited too long, because now I started noticing it a couple weeks ago that the fans aren't necessarily as into the get these hands. And it might be part of the reason. Part of the reason too is because he was injured. He was gone for a little while, but they might have missed that Braun Strowman window. As far as Finn Balor goes, I don't understand what the point was. Why have him have a damn good match against Braun? He had this nice flurry at the end of that match for Brock to, basically no sell it and then tap him out. All right, Balor losing the match wasn't the problem. No selling kind of bothered me, but at the end, what was the point of him hitting him with the 3 Germans and the F5? What was the point?
But he didn't necessarily no sell all the way, because when Finn screwed his stomach up, he sold the shit out of that.
Well, no, I'm just talking about his finisher, the coup de grace.
Yeah,
like he no sold it like that, but it bothered me, but not as much as the end when he suplexes him 3 times and then F5s him. Like what did that accomplish? I don't understand. I didn't get it.
Okay, so at the risk of this sounding contradictory, here's what I think with the whole Finn Balor thing. First of all, going into it, when I heard that this was the way they were going to go, I personally didn't like it because instantly I'm thinking, fuck, Finn's about to get fucking destroyed and Brock is going to keep the title, which I said going into it that I think Brock needed to keep the title because of the UFC thing. But when I heard that they put Finn in there, I was kind of bummed because I'm like, fuck. Now, here he goes getting a title shot, which he's deserved for, 2 years now?
Yeah.
And he's getting a title shot, and this is how he gets it.
Real quick. Did it kind of feel like this was one of those, well, God damn it, I'm tired of them talking about Finn Balor and he says rematch. I'm going to give it to him right now. That's kind of how it felt to me. It was like, all right, you wanted the rematch? Here you go. Now shut
I don't
the
know that I
fuck up.
felt like that because I think it was undeniable that the fans were getting behind Finn. But at the same time, in the same breath that I said I didn't like the match, I did like it for the fact that it presents a match we've never seen. Mm-hmm. It also presents the ultimate David Goliath thing, which Finn's already proven that he can win before with his stuff in NXT with Kevin Owens or, Joe or any of the rest of them.
And don't get me wrong. I thought it was a good match up until the very last, basically from after the coup de grace up until him F5ing him and suplexing him. That's what I had to part with. When he didn't come out as the Demon, I'm like, all right, we already know what this is. He's not going to win. But up until that point, to me, it was a really good match. But
I want to know why they won't go back to the Demon, though. Like, I understand.
If he's the Demon, they got to put the belt on him.
I understand completely them not wanting to do it every month or every week or anything. I totally think it shouldn't be that way. It should be for only, his heated stuff. But I think this was the perfect time to bring that out, considering he's fighting the quote-unquote beast incarnate.
Right.
I mean, why would the Demon not resurface? So I guess when it comes to this match, that's my beef with it, in that I don't like that now. I hope that Finn just doesn't go down the hole, because from what we've seen on Raw, it looks like it's going to be Finn and Lashley for the Intercontinental title, which Finn getting a belt, if that's how that plays out, I'm cool with it. But at the same time, man, I just want to see Finn get a real run with the title because he deserved that shit when it happened the first time. As far as Braun, personally going into the Royal Rumble, I thought what Becky Lynch did was what Braun was going to do, but they had announced that Braun's going to be in the Rumble.
Right.
To me, I had picked Braun going into it because I thought just from the way they were building the whole Finn thing, it just almost kind of seemed like they kind of almost afterthoughted him, but, kind of alluded to the whole, it's going to be, Brock and Braun at WrestleMania. So,
Is it?
Well, no, it's not.
That's what you thought.
No, I'm saying the way they played it off with the Finn thing, it almost kind of seemed like they were still pushing towards that anyway. I don't think that that's what's going to happen now, but I'm just saying that's how it felt going into.
Wait, I didn't see Raw. Did Rollins officially say he's going to at Brock?
Rollins never got the opportunity to. So Rollins came out in the beginning and was talking about how awesome of a thing it was to have won the Royal Rumble and that, this is all he had ever really wanted to do and all that. Well, Triple H came out and he said, I came out here a few months ago and challenged you, and I challenged you because I knew you could step up to it. And he said, you have come back tenfold to what we saw before you got hurt, and I think he goes, tonight is the night that we're going to find out whose ass you're going to kick at WrestleMania, but I need to know tonight. The same as Becky Lynch is going to have to let us know on Tuesday. So they did that. Seth goes to the Dean Ambrose comes out. Dean Ambrose says, it starts giving him the whole, I always had your back when this guy didn't think you had anything and blah, 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 and all that. And then Triple H goes, this goes coming from the guy who, just said all the stuff he had said about him and, turned his back on him when you found out your brother had leukemia.
Right.
And he went into all that stuff.
So he never got to the...
He never even got there. So then when they called him out at the end of the night to do that, Brock came out before Seth, and then as soon as Seth came out, Brock just beat the holy shit out of him. He F5'd him probably 6 fucking times.
Okay. All right. Well, all right, let's go to another match. And I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts on this match. Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. What did you think of that match?
Dude, I like any time they get in the ring, quite frankly. I like the heel Daniel Bryan because it's like Sam was talking about being a good heel. Like, I think Daniel Bryan's done a good job of making the heel Daniel Bryan a complete 360 from what you see when he's doing the whole yes thing.
Right.
My gut thought, I thought when I saw Rowan come out, first thing I said, and Mikey and them can be my witness to it if it happens the way it happens. You heard it here first, motherfuckers. I feel like it's going to be a Wyatt family reunion.
You know, first thing when I saw, well, let me say this and I'll talk about the actual match. When I saw Eric Rowan come out there, I said, oh my God, they're doing the Straight Edge Society all over again with Daniel Bryan as the leader. Because he came out there dressed up. He came dressed up like the lumberjack thing that Daniel Bryan does. I'm like, they're basically going to be doing Straight Edge Society. Daniel Bryan's going to be the leader. This and that. As far as the actual match goes, it was a really good match. Like, the two of them, I don't think can have a bad match. The problem, it came right after the women's Rumble match, and that crowd was absolutely dead. And I'm sitting there like, man, it's just bad placement. It's nothing. I mean, it's really nothing you could do.
I was about to say though. On that hand, though, now that you have two Royal Rumble matches, which are both going to be an hour or an hour plus,
that women's match was 72.
But that's what I'm saying.
Long.
No matter what, you're getting an hour plus. So, from WWE's shoes, I mean, where the hell else can you put that match? Unless you put it on before the women's Royal Rumble. But if you don't put the women's Royal Rumble on first, you won't have enough time for the rest of the shit.
You got to have a buffer in there, man, because it was too hot. The Royal Rumble itself is the spectacle. That's what people are there for. The people love that countdown. So when you get that, the energy's down, man, and it's like that's not really the match you have right after that. They got to have something.
Okay, well, why? You could have put the U.S. title match there.
That works, but I just felt like you had to break that up personally, but the women's Royal Rumble match itself. Your thoughts?
I thought it was better than the men's Royal Rumble. And I thought that the way they did the Becky thing was very well done.
I agree.
I thought it was very well done how she showed up and kind of just was like, what are you going to do? You don't have nobody else that deserves this spot and whatever.
Right.
And then for her to win, man, like, I'm so happy that they're actually going to run with this Becky thing. Because when her nose got broke, I'm not going to lie, I thought, I'm like, fuck. Here we go. The whole thing's about to get derailed. And I think I'm not going to jump the gun and say that they've realized they need to do more of what the fans want, because I think it's too early to see if this experiment's really going to go that way.
Right.
But I do think that it's completely fair to say that it's undeniable that the Becky thing was a definite shot towards that, because I think they know at this point Becky is what the fans want.
Right.
And I think by doing it that way, I mean, it's a definite goodwill gesture when they've done a lot of things recently that have pissed the fans off.
Something that kind of caught me off guard in a good way. Okay. Going into this women's Rumble match, in my head, I'm thinking, man, I hope they don't do a whole bunch of the nostalgia women again. I felt like that was perfect for last year, but I felt like this year they kind of had to have more of their talent on there. I think they went a little bit too far that way, though. I mean, I was expecting to see somebody, but really the only, like, nostalgia type person in there was maybe Maria Kanellis, but she's on the roster. So maybe one or two or three nostalgia people should have been in there, but I really did love the fact that they showcased a lot of NXT people. Rhea Ripley looked great in there.
I agree completely. I'm a
Casey
big fan of her.
Catanzaro, she looked amazing in there.
She had the best Royal Rumble save spot of the year. Somebody finally took it from Kofi. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. The handstand walk to the pole and then to wrap your legs around the pole without falling off.
Sit up and then climb up.
Yes,
I'm
dude,
like,
the sit up, dude. Like, for those that don't know, to do a sit up when you gotta like wrap your legs around something and it's like not just your normal sit up to where you're like completely elongated like that.
Right.
That takes a lot of fucking core strength. I've done that before and it's hard to fucking do.
Now, here, okay. I'm very interested in seeing her more.
Oh yeah.
The only thing that I'm concerned about is the fact that she's really, really small. She is a very small human being.
I don't think that matters in today's WWE. Though.
But the only reason I say that is because
You're worried about injuries?
no, I'm not worried about injuries. I'm worried more about, are people going to take her seriously? In that, basically, yeah, she's from American Ninja Warrior. She can do all these amazing things, and I'm not knocking that at all. But she can get pigeonholed into just that. Like, she could probably be the next Kofi Kingston, where, like, Kofi's not going to ever win anything big, but you just wait for that one moment. And it's like, can she develop into something more than just a one event thing? So basically, like, in a ladder match and in a Royal Rumble match, she'll be great. But can she develop into something that can work on a house show on a weekly
Totally
basis?
get you, but I got a counterpoint to that. So a guy I went to school with, Stacey Irvin, was also on American Ninja Warrior, and he's been down there in NXT. And granted, it comes down to the person and their personality and charisma and all those things.
Right.
But they've already got Stacey wrestling against. I've seen him wrestle The Dream. I've seen him wrestle Ono. I've seen him wrestle Gargano. I've seen him wrestle all the big names just in the lower matches on the card and on the Florida loop.
Right.
But my point is,
is he that much smaller than everybody else?
No.
Because
No,
basically they're going to keep
yeah.
telling the same story with Casey, that they're going to be the same David and
but
Goliath story.
look at Rey Mysterio, though.
People got very tired of Rey Mysterio.
Maybe they did, but it lasted for how many fucking years? He was the shit all through WCW, and he was the shit when he came to WWE. And he's still the shit now.
Well, but the thing is, the longer Rey Mysterio stays there, people are going to start getting tired of him again.
But I think that happens with everybody, though.
Yeah, but the thing with like a Rey Mysterio is you're telling the same story over and over again. And I hope it does. I'm not saying it's going to happen. All I'm saying is that she is going to have to.
She's got her work cut out for her, but I think with her athleticism and things like that. Plus, here's another thing.
But it has to be more than the athleticism, though. She has to be able to connect with the crowd.
But she's got a lot of great people in her corner, though. I mean, from what I see, she's dating Ricochet. Ricochet's on fire down there. So if anybody can help her with that,
With personality?
I'm not just
Ricochet?
Hold on a minute. Let me finish my point. I'm just saying the people.
Soulja Boy Ricochet.
I'm saying off of what I've seen off of their Instagram and stuff like that. I mean, I've seen she's been tight with like Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley came up from being just the quiet little whatever.
But that's the point I'm making. She has to somehow come up with something.
No, for sure.
that
I'm not
connects
saying
with
she
people.
does.
That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I'm not saying she doesn't. But I'm just saying I think she's got the right people around down there to be able to do so.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying she's going to or she's not because only time will be able to tell, but I think she can.
All right. We got a few more minutes. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on from the weekend?
What do you... Oh, shit.
Wait. I got to say this. Bianca Belair versus Shayna Baszler.
I liked the match, except there were things I thought were clunky, like I told you.
Okay. I agree with you. But I thought that match was going to be a disaster. I thought, not necessarily a disaster, but I thought it was going to be very, very, very sloppy. It was a lot better. It was a lot more coordinated than I thought it would be. I think they're going to get a rematch, and I think
they're definitely.
I think Belair's going to win it probably at Mania because she didn't tap out.
Can we both agree now that you should finally give Shayna Baszler some credit? Because I think it was evident in that match that Shayna had to pull some of that shit together because of the sloppiness.
No, she's good. She's really good.
As long as we can agree on that. Yeah. My biggest gripe with that match,
but she's an MMA person, so you automatically like him. Now you want Marina and Jessamyn to win the women's tag team.
No, I don't.
I'm joking.
No, I don't. But
deep down inside you do.
No, I don't. But
I've seen Jessica fight before. Go ahead.
But yeah, dude, I thought it was a great match.
Jessamyn, I'm sorry, Jessamyn.
I thought it was a great match. My only gripe with it, like I say, is I just felt like there were some things like in Bianca's comeback that to me just seemed like a little bit off. But for that being like her first like showcase match, like I mean, don't get me wrong, she had the match at TakeOver, the last one against who'd she wrestle?
Peraza?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
She wrestled Deonna Purrazzo. That was a great match.
Yeah, that was like the TV taping one.
Yeah. So I mean, she had a great match, but this was the first time she's in essentially the main event for the women there for NXT. And yeah, I thought there were some things that were clunky, but again, with the way they ended it, I definitely don't think it's the end of the story, and I think Bianca's definitely going to get her run that back. Okay. We'll see what happens with it, but yeah, that was my only complaint with it. I just thought some things were clunky, but again, I'm not in the ring.
Anything else from the weekend that you want to touch on before we get out of here? We got about 2 minutes, and then we got to wrap this up.
The other thing we need to talk about from the weekend was BCWA.
Yeah, I wasn't there.
Yeah,
I was moving.
You know, things happen.
If we could have got the whole wrestling locker room to come to my apartment in Southfield and get all that crap out of there quickly, I could have been there. But
it was all good, man. It was still a great show. Thanks again to Mike Blackwell for having us. It was another packed show as always, and
we got cartoons.
And we do got cartoons that are pretty fucking dope looking, if I do say so myself. Shout out to the Dread King Logan. Saw him there again. Got to have a good conversation with him. Shout out to Orlando Christopher, who I also saw there that night.
The Soul Taker was there, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. But the story of the night is that Justin Maine won the world title away from Bill Martell.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I missed that?
Yes, you did.
Oh, man. We got to get Justin on the show.
We've already got that in the works.
Oh, sweet. Man, I'm mad I missed that.
Should we give him a little bit of a heads up as to who is coming on next week?
Sure.
So, for those of you who know and have been listening to the show, we had Brett Martin on a little while ago. He's getting ready to fight Josh Parisian, who's just coming off of the most recent season of The Ultimate Fighter.
Yes,
Brett will be coming back to come talk to us about his fight for Lights Out Fighting February 16th. He'll be back here February 5th with us. And, you won't want to miss that one.
Anything else? Oh, we got Astronomicon coming up February 8th through
8th through
the 10th.
Yeah,
bam. We'll be there. You know who else is going to be there? Goldust. The Boogeyman. Scott Steiner's going to be there.
And Podcast Detroit.
Scott Hall's going to be there.
We have to get
Tiny Zeus Lester, a.k.a.
Look, bro, if we're there again and we don't find a way to get Scott Hall on the show after last year,
Wait, somebody else is going to be there. Oh, yeah, Jake the Snake
Roberts.
Man, I'm definitely looking forward to
So
that.
be on the lookout. We managed to get Booker T, Bruce Pritchard, and Eric Bischoff last year. We're definitely shooting to get them all this year.
Hey, you know who else is going to be there? The two people from the very first Paranormal Activities.
Oh, jeez.
They're going to be there. The movie was okay. I like that movie.
I liked it too, but now that I'm older, I'm like, that shit was fake as fuck.
Wait, never mind. I was about to say something that would probably get us banned from BCW.
Well, then don't do that.
I'm not.
Because I actually happen to like it there.
I know. It's a lot of fun. Anything else coming up that we need to talk about? You need to put out there?
This Friday, February 1st, I will be at WXC Fight Night. It's going to be a lot of good fights. Crystal Gardens, Southgate, Michigan. If you're there, check it out. I'll be there. Bobby from Cage from the Cave will be there. And, other than that, can't think of shit.
Shout out to Bobby for helping out with the show a couple weeks ago, man.
Hell yeah. And check out Cage in the Cave.
Yes, sir. You know what? You know what I did not do? I did not tell the people that, hey, we've had some of the people from Sports Lab Podcast, guys that we're pretty cool with. I was a part of their fantasy football league, and guess who won the championship?
It was rigged.
It was Randy. Podcast Detroit reigning supreme, and you shitting all over me, man.
Oh my God.
Yes, I was the champion, and I won $700. I'll look at that in a second. With all that being said, man, anything else before we go?
Fuck your couch.
Wait, you didn't even put your social media?
Oh, yeah, I got to tell you those
Yeah,
too. Not that I didn't already tell you that.
Couch,
but yeah, fuck your couch anyway. But you can still follow me at Twitter and Instagram at Detroit Knockout, at Detroit NOKOUT. And all you guys that I know are seeing our posts when we're talking about the fights and all these things, man, share the shit out. Help us out.
Please. I'm Devin. You can find me on Twitter at Devin63. That's DEVINTHE63. You can find me on Instagram at All Steak No Sizzle. That is one phrase.
And we didn't even talk about the
No
Dean
spaces.
Ambrose thing. Son of a bitch.
Dean Ambrose.
Dean Ambrose is done with WWE.
Oh, yeah.
WWE announced it themselves.
Really?
Yes.
Like now? Or
It came out hours ago.
is it still after Mania or is it going to happen soon?
April after Mania.
Okay. All right. AEW it is.
He's not going to AEW.
All right. Well, Japan it is. Make sure you check out the Reality Era News page on Facebook where we talk wrestling. Hey, if you need a car, check out Matthew Hargrave Chevrolet. That's mhchevy.com. And make sure you go talk to Anthony and tell him I sent you. The reason why is because it helps me out. And it helps you out, too, because you get a good deal on the car. So that's it. All right. Until next time, we will talk to Mr. Brett Martin.
Fuck your couch.
Till next week. Peace.